This is KYW-TV, Philadelphia. Coming up.
A Frankfurt alley, the scene of a horrifying crime. A little girl is dragged off a street and raped in broad daylight. Terrorists are suspected tonight of blasting a Buenos Aires building to bits, and the toll is very high. And think you're safe if you wear a back belt for heavy lifting? Think again.
Now, coverage you can count on. This is KYW News 3 at 11.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Larry Kane. Rape is a horrifying crime, one that not only devastates the victim and the family, but violates a neighborhood sense of well-being. And that's the case in the Frankfurt neighborhood of Philadelphia tonight, where a 12-year-old girl was dragged from a sidewalk and raped in broad daylight. News 3's Stephanie Stahl reports.
Police say the girl was walking along Unity Street in Frankfurt just after 8 this morning. It was pouring rain. They say the 12-year-old was snatched and dragged into this alley where she was raped.
It's scary. I mean, my son is 3, and to think that there's a raper or a rapist in my neighborhood, getting away with raping kids, it terrifies me.
Parents are worried about children, and now even the kids are upset. Marie Haas is 12, the same age as the victim. Are you scared?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it might be me next. I got scared.
Why?
Because next time it might be somebody else.
It happened less than a block from Frankfurt Avenue, where there is a history of trouble. Residents say the avenue is filled with drugs and prostitutes and all kinds of crime.
It's horrible. I live in a neighborhood. I've lived here for 26 years. I have a son, and it's really horrible.
The signs of despair are easy to see. Syringes litter the street. Residents gather to share the latest upheavals. This time it's a rape. People who live here are fed up with the neighborhood.
Disgusting, going downhill. We need more cops. We need the courts to not let the people off.
Neighbors say it's an old problem here, a system that fails them, so they try to watch out for each other. They're left wondering now about the alleyway rape of the young girl and why nobody saw or heard anything. Stephanie Stahl, News 3.
Now, police have released a description of the man they're looking for tonight. He's white, about 25 years old, 5 feet 10, with a bushy mustache and a scar over his right eye. If you have any information, you can call Philadelphia Police Sex Crimes Unit at 685-1667. Overseas, there's carnage and devastation in a neighborhood in Buenos Aires, Argentina tonight. Take a look at the scene of what Argentine officials say was a terrorist bomb explosion. At least 22 people are dead, 100 hurt. A building that housed several Jewish organizations was ripped apart by the force of the blast. Some people were pulled alive from the rubble. Other victims are still believed to be buried. Israeli officials say Islamic fundamentalists are to blame.
It was done by the forces who oppose peace, not the forces who are engaged in peace. And clearly we have a problem with them.
This disaster comes a week before Israel and Jordan are scheduled to sign a peace agreement in Washington. Another larger disaster is taking place in the African country of Rwanda tonight. This is a nation in agony. Here's the astounding scene. Millions of sick, starving, and homeless refugees surging across the border from Rwanda to Zaire. They're fleeing the civil war, which has turned Rwanda into a border-to-border bloodbath. A U.S. relief agency official says the refugee situation there is catastrophic. And the United States just announced another $31 million in aid for the refugees. A bizarre new revelation reportedly is about to be unleashed by O.J. Simpson's defense attorneys. It involves the bloody glove found by police at Simpson's estate the morning after the double murders. It matches one found at the crime scene. Today, the New Yorker and Newsweek magazines report that Simpson's lawyers will claim in court the glove was planted by a detective. The magazine identifies him as Mark Furman, and Simpson's lawyers reportedly will claim Furman's a racist and a rogue cop. It was he who testified about finding the glove at Simpson's estate. Furman vehemently denies he planted the evidence. A man facing weapons charges in South Jersey now has bigger problems. He's also under investigation for threatening the president. Secret Service agents obtained a search warrant for Paul Walling's home in the 2500 block of Midland Avenue. They discovered a large quantity of weapons and ammunition on Friday, the same day President Clinton was in Philadelphia. A neighbor told News 3's Eleanor Jean Henley it was not uncommon to see Walling with guns.
I did see him go out with with, these guns and things on his back. And I know he carried one in a belly bag. Were you curious? I was just concerned because I felt he was very depressed at times.
Tomorrow, the 46-year-old Walling will be arraigned on weapons charges in Cape May, and federal charges are pending against him. A bank robbery in Center City, Philadelphia escalated into a dangerous kidnapping when a gunman took a teller hostage today. It happened in broad daylight at the Continental Bank at 17th and JFK this afternoon. Investigators say the robber escaped in a cab with $1,200 and a female teller. She was freed a short time later at 30th Street Station, unharmed, but we understand very shaken. And a shooting on a West Oak Lane street corner left a teen in the hospital. The gunfire erupted this afternoon at Upsall Rugby. The 14-year-old victim staggered into a nearby variety store and collapsed. Police are looking for 4 other teenagers who raced off in a maroon Mustang. Well, as of this hour, we've just received word that jurors are still deliberating a sentence for Sherman Craver in Delaware County. Craver was found guilty of murdering his former girlfriend, Marie Bates, a year ago, and also killing Chester police officer Connie Hawkins. She was shot to death when she responded to a 911 call from Bates' young son. A News 3 crew is at the Media Courthouse right now, and of course, we'll let you know if there's a decision from the jury while we're on the air tonight. A viewing was held for a mother who drowned when her car was swept away during Thursday's record rainfall in the area. Grief-stricken family and friends gathered at the Kane Funeral Home in Haddonfield to say goodbye to Vicki Hoffman. The 32-year-old Hoffman misjudged the road and accidentally drove into Crystal Lake with her son by her side. She managed to hand him over to rescuers before disappearing into the marshy lake. Her funeral will be held tomorrow. Well, we don't have to tell you that the Delaware Valley has been hit with a double deluge of record rainfall. 2 major storms in the last 5 days have left whole neighborhoods underwater. News 3's Robin McIntosh says there's one South Jersey community that was especially hard hit.
Flood debris litters the front yards of the houses on Ritchie Avenue and Collingswood tonight, and water still floods the back alleys. It's been hours since heavy rains hammered the streets, but tonight, basements and garages still have water in them.
It's a couple inches deep right now, but it was in my basement about 2 feet deep the other day when it first came in.
Jack Rowan, one of dozens of neighbors who watched floodwaters sweep into their homes for the second time in 4 days, still cleaning up from last Thursday night's deluge when they were hit with 4 inches of rain today, causing flooding that swept last week's debris all over the neighborhood.
I've lost everything in my basement. I've lost my washing machine, my heater, my oil tank.
With their sump pumps still busy bailing out their basements, angry residents stormed Collingswood Borough Hall demanding help. But borough commissioners say that help is much too costly.
My house is full of raw sewage.
Tonight, Dorothy Ott and dozens of her neighbors came looking for answers to their flooding woes. They were told the problem is 30 years old, and after years of complaints, it's still in the hands of the Army Corps of Engineers.
The Army Corps is dragging their heels because the project is one of those projects that's not big enough for them to really put their teeth into.
Meantime, residents say the chronic flooding is so bad, they're even willing to move out, have their houses torn down to make room for a park.
We would like condemnation of our homes. We feel it's the only answer because the homes are never going to be suitable for living.
Residents are planning a letter-writing campaign to their senators and congressmen. Meantime, they wait for the water to recede or the next storm, whichever comes first. In Collingswood, Robin McIntosh, News 3.
South Jersey isn't the only area still suffering from those storms of last week. A West Kensington neighborhood in Philadelphia is still underwater tonight. Clogged sewers have increased flooding problems there. This home video shows how water filled up a basement and nearly poured out into the street. One resident told News 3 he had to tie his car to a pole to prevent it from floating away. Neighbors blame the city for not cleaning up the sewers, but the city disagrees with that.
They would have cleaned these sewers like they're supposed to be cleaning them. Maybe the water will come down the sewer.
They get clean, but there's so much. You know what I mean? It can't take it.
We had the fire department out to pump out basements. We've had the water department out there over the last couple of days. We've had the streets department out for a special bulk pickup. So we have responded to the needs of the residents.
Now, the Department of Licenses and Inspections will check the area for structural damage. Meantime, city representatives will meet with residents tomorrow to talk about possible solutions in the future. Well, since the beginning of this year, our area has been pummeled by the worst kind of storms. We had those 14 ice and snowstorms in January, And now, because of the storms earlier and the current weather, New Jersey Governor Christie Todd Whitman wants 15 counties in the Garden State declared disaster areas. Crops like these in Swedesboro were nearly destroyed. Farmers say they need funding to replant and rebuild their land. Otherwise, they're going to go out of business. If approved, federal loans would be available to farmers located in the 15 counties. And now, any more rain in the forecast? Please, no more rain, at least for a few days. Here's Dave Rogers with first weather. Dave?
Well, the good news is, Larry, that the kind of weather that we had earlier today and last week, those heavy downpours, that's going to be moving away. We'll see some scattered storms for the rest of the week, so just keep an eye to the sky. Let's take a look at your first weather forecast. Getting up tomorrow morning, partly sunny sky, only about a 20% chance of widely scattered showers, 71 to 75 degrees. By afternoon time, you'll really start to feel the humidity. That big area of high pressure continues to pump it up from the south, partly sunny, 30% chance of a thunderstorm, 84 to 88. Heading home from work, a fair amount of sunshine, and again, maybe a scattered thunderstorm, 85 to 89 degrees expected to be our afternoon high. We'll take a look at your 5-day forecast and when more of that rain is going to be arriving. I'll have all that coming up later on in the weather tonight.
Don't leave the TV set because we got 2 stories coming up that affect you. Still ahead on News 3, if you lift weights for fun or fitness, Dave, news about back belts that could give you a pain on the neck. Plus, government experts say they have a spicy story about Mexican food. It's food for thought that your stomach can't afford to miss. Hold the taco, Dave. But first, let's check tonight's winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back.
Now, Larry Kane. KYW News 3 at 11 continues.
Back belts. You know those belts you wear to support your lower back? They have become a familiar sight in many workplaces, but now there's word that they may not be much help in avoiding injuries. A federal safety agency says it can't find any evidence the elastic belts reduce the risk of back injury. In fact, researchers say wearing the belts may actually increase the chances of getting hurt.
It's when people are not using them correctly, when they're not cinching them down at the proper time. They're not made to be tight at all times. They're supposed to be worn very loosely and then tightened down right before you do lift. And then you have to do the proper lifting technique. Otherwise, the belt's not going to save you, and that's when people do injure their back.
Researchers also warn of a false sense of security when wearing the belt. They say some people may try to lift heavier loads, even in fitness demonstrations, with the brace, and they would without one, so be careful. Health experts have another warning tonight, and if you love Mexican food like we do, this is going to be a real setback for you. First it was the popcorn, then Chinese food, and now they say Mexican food can be hazardous. Well, News 3's Dick Sheeran, who eats anything, and I mean anything, warns don't follow his advice when it comes to some Mexican food.
Cheese nachos with a side of sour cream.
Did Mike Mogul, who says he tries to lower his fat, order cheese nachos topped with sour cream?
I'm celebrating today.
Gloriously spicy Mexican food. The Center for Science and the Public Interest tested popular Mexican meals at chains and found lots of fat and sodium. The worst? Chili rellenos and beef chimichangas. The center says it's like eating a whole stick of butter.
Most platters saddle you with an entire day's worth of fat, saturated fat and sodium, and more than 1,000 calories.
But all is not totally bleak on the Mexican food front. Some places like this 12th Street Cantina here in the Reading Terminal Market have been battling fat and salt for years. How about some nachos, hold the cheese?
I'd like a salad, low fat.
The 14-year-old Cantina does a bustling business at lunch. The reason? They prepare their food differently than the chains.
We use all Mexican produce, poblanos and tomatillos, all fresh ingredients.
In fact, Cheryl Marco, a hospital dietitian, sends her patients to the place.
Their beans aren't done in lard, as they are done in many Mexican places.
The food tests show that chicken fajitas are the healthiest Mexican dish you can eat. And that's what Stanley, the Cantina chef, is working on, along with vegetarian chili.
There is no meat. It's a total vegetarian dish.
So to Stanley, we give the Golden Fajita Award. Dick Sheeran, News 3.
Experts say Mexican food doesn't have to be unhealthy. You just need to say no to some of the high-fat toppings and side orders like guacamole, sour cream, and refried beans. All of our favorites, obviously. The word from the IRS tonight, high tech can be a real mess, and you're losing a lot of money because of it. The IRS electronic tax filing system was no bargain for the government figures released today, showing that crooks used electronic filing to bilk the government, our government, out of $15 million in fraudulent refunds. Ohio Senator John Glenn said electronic filing may need to be suspended until the IRS can control the problem. The IRS says it's already made significant progress in dealing with it. And we've just had word just into us from Media, Delaware County tonight. Sherman Craver found guilty of murdering his former girlfriend in a domestic dispute in the city of Chester, Delaware County, and at the same time of murdering a Chester City police officer. Connie Hawkins has been found guilty and tonight given the death penalty. Sherman Craver facing death in Pennsylvania for the double murder in Chester, Delaware County. Much more ahead tonight, including a real bang-up day on Jupiter. We'll show you pictures that are simply out of this world. That's still ahead on News 3.
Now, weather with David Rogers. KYW News 3 at 11 continues.
Dave's learned a lot tonight. No more refried Mexican food. And those back belts have got to go. He's got the forecast.
Stay away, I'll tell you, Larry. As we take a look at what's going on today, pretty busy day. At least we got off to kind of a jump start. Lots of rain across the area. Some areas picked up as much as 4 inches of rain this morning. The clouds are still hanging in there, and not a great night for stargazing, especially if you were planning on seeing any of the effects on planet Jupiter. Ruth Quick to the north, reporting a lot of humidity up there, 77 degrees. Debbie and Dean Santo in Upper Darby, 74, mostly cloudy sky. And Roy and Ann Side down in Penns Grove, mostly cloudy, 78, ocean water temperature 75. Afternoon highs for us got up to 85 degrees. A lot of stagnant air out there. Hopefully some of the rain we got earlier today will start to drop some of these numbers. Weeds running very moderate. Mold spores continue to run real high. And if you suffer from grass pollen, actually some good news, the lowest on the map right now, 5.1. That's per inches of cubic airspace. And as I mentioned, some of that air should hopefully start to drop some of these numbers over the next couple of days. As we take a look at what's going on the surface, big area of high pressure, Bermuda High now off the southeastern coast. One more wave of activity now tracking to our south. That will give us, again, a threat for a thunderstorm later on tonight as high pressure starts to build in behind that. As we take a look at our live KYW3 radar picture, not very impressive right now. Some very light showers now developing across southern New Jersey into Delaware, all moving in a northeasterly direction. So again, if you have any outdoor plans, just keep an eye to the sky as we take a look at late week trends. Hot and steamy up and down the Atlantic seaboard. And again, the possibility for a stray thunderstorm, while most of the nation's going to see a lot of sunshine, with the exception of the Pacific Northwest, where they'll have some thunderstorms as well. Hitting the Vet Stadium tomorrow evening, looks like they'll see partly cloudy sky, maybe a thunderstorm, a temperature around game time about 83 degrees. Let's take a look into the future with your 5-day forecast. And for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, not much of a change. Warm and humid, the chance for thunderstorms each and every day. Temperatures generally in the upper 80s to lower 90s. That's a look at your weather tonight. Have a great day tomorrow. Larry?
Thanks, Dave. The Shoemaker-Levy comet has left astronomers awestruck. The seventh, or G, piece of the comet slammed into Jupiter. It was an explosion that was 400 times the power of the world's entire nuclear arsenal. The impact left a scar 4,500 miles wide. Debris flew almost 10,000 miles out. That's an area greater than the size of the entire planet Earth. Coming up in sports, for the first time in a long time, there will be no holdouts when the Eagles start their training camp. Plus, the Phillies trying to hold down the red-hot San Francisco Giants. A little bonding at the Vet tonight. Yuki Washington has sports next.
Now, sports with Yuki Washington. KYW News 3 at 11 continues.
Let's just buy Barry Bonds' contract and move him to Philadelphia. How about that, Yuki?
That'd be nice. If you can arrange that, you're the man. Yes, okay. You are. You're the man. Anyway, the Phillies were facing an 8-game San Francisco winning streak going into tonight's game at the Vet. The Giants are hoping that 9 would be so fine as they would try to build even more momentum and get back into the race. 3 guys got it going for the Giants early on. Barry Bonds, that threesome would tie the world. Well, watch this. Matt Williams and Darryl Strawberry. That threesome would rock the world of Sean Bosky. First inning, Bonds with a single with a man on. Same inning, Matt Williams with a line shot into left field. It hits the wall and brings in a run. 1-0 Giants. Still in the first, Bosky working the Strawberry. One of the longest singles you'll ever see, but it gets the job done to bring home Bonds and Williams. It was 3-0 Giants. Strawberry later left with a hamstring injury. Jim Fregosi saw it go to 4-0 after 1/2 inning of play. Top of the second, Bonds is back at the plate. Oh boy, can you say straight away? That baseball is gone. And so was Sean Bosky. Inky hit a 3-run homer later on for the Phils. They fell short, though. 9 straight wins for San Francisco. Giants win over the Phillies 7-5, which is bad news because Atlanta beat Pittsburgh 3-2. In the 9th, Montreal leading San Diego 9-2. Cincinnati 5, Florida 3, a final. In the 8th, Los Angeles leading the Mets 6-3. And in the 8th, in this one, the Cards led 11-0 at one point. Houston has come back to lead St. Louis 15-11 in the 8th inning. Detroit and Chicago for the White Sox with the bases full. Frank Thomas, the big hurt, goes deep. Oh, that's a grand slam in the 7th inning. Homer number 34 for Thomas. Detroit and Chicago were tied at 9 in the 10th inning. Texas and Cleveland tied at 5. That game is in the 9th inning. Kansas City beat Milwaukee 2-0 the final, and Toronto by 3 over Minnesota 7-4 your score. Holy Batman, Albert Bell has been suspended. The Cleveland outfielder will be out 10 days after cork was found in his confiscated bat. That's a baseball crime. Here's the story. The suspension was scheduled to begin today, but Bell has already appealed and will be able to play pending a hearing. Bell's bat was x-rayed and sawed in half today and was found to be treated with cork, which makes the ball a little livelier, hotter when it comes off the wood. American League President Dr. Bobby Brown made the announcement today. Or was it Friday? That was weak, I know. I'm sorry. For the first time in a long time, the Eagles have everyone on the dotted line. Signed contracts going into training camp. Rookies and selected veterans will meet tomorrow evening with camp starting on Wednesday. The big fella in the middle of the screen there and Coach Kotite and owner Jeffrey Loria's top pick Bernard Williams. He signed a 5-year deal and is looking forward to working with offensive line coach Bill Muir.
I talked with Coach Muir before I left for the last camp. Before I left to go home for the last camp, and he pretty much told me that if camp started on the 19th, then I needed to sign somewhere on the 18th, to try to get me camp. And it worked out for the better.
I couldn't ask for a more optimum situation. I've never been in a camp, really, where we had everybody in on time. And I think it's a big bonus, and really I think it's a big plus for all of us.
Running back Charlie Garner is also in the nest. He inked a 3-year deal. Once again, the first day of workouts will be this Wednesday at Westchester University. And one last look in the sports tonight at training camps. They've opened around the country, and the Chicago Bears are hoping for a good year. They're also hoping for a little help from above. The excitement is starting to build as everyone can't wait for the Gladiators of the NFL gridiron to get started again. It's that time of year against Lawrence. Looking forward to it.
I am.
Good.
Jack Webb with sports tonight. When you talk about summer camp, thoughts of campfires, crafts, and lots of food come to mind. Well, lunch was a special event today at Camp Overbrook. Campers were joined by a special guest, the Archbishop of Philadelphia, Cardinal Anthony Bevilacqua. The summer food service program sponsored by the Archdiocese of Philadelphia fed over 1 million meals to children throughout the Delaware Valley last year. When we return on News 3 tonight, imagining looking out the window into your backyard and finding a big cat. Not just your average big cat, but a cougar. We'll have the story for you coming up next.
Now, Larry Kane. KYW News 3 at 11 continues.
I want you to try to get this because it may come too quickly from our writer Michelle Murray tonight. A Florida woman thought she had a catastrophe, C-A-T, on her hands when she saw a stray cat in her backyard. Good try, Michelle. A very big stray cat. This cougar was caught catnapping behind a Miami home. Amazingly, the animal was cornered, collared, and captured by the woman. And the bold homeowner didn't suffer even a scratch. Now wildlife officials want to find the feline's owners so they can find out why the cat was cruising instead of being caged in the first place. Good-looking animal, though. Good-looking cat. That's our report for tonight. Hope you enjoyed David's weather tomorrow. Don't forget Pat tomorrow at 5:30, Bruce and Stephanie at 6. We'll see you tomorrow night at 11. Did I get everybody in there?
I think so.
Have a good night, and thanks for being with us.